So I know it's been a while, probably I'd say almost a month since my last video, and my life has just been hectic. Um, I just entered the last semester of my senior year for my bachelor's degree in speech and language pathology, and I've also been caught up with applying to grad schools and admission applications, getting letters of recommendations, writing personal statements, taking entrance exams, and all of that fun stuff. And I also got COVID just recently. Um, about I tested positive. I'd say about 2 weeks ago, and I think I was sick for maybe a week, and I'm better now. So I was finally able to go back to work. I had to miss over a week of work because I had to quarantine. And I've mentioned this before, but I'm Mexican and I live with a lot of people, and that's pretty common in our culture because we are a collectivist culture, which means that family comes first, and we tend to hold very very strong familial ties, and so that goes on for generations and generations, and that is why you'll find that a lot of people from collectivist cultures, a lot of families, you'll have two or three or sometimes four generations still living under the same household because we're just that close. Which I think it has its benefits, and I think it's great. And to have such a close relationship with your family and have that really strong support, because my family is my biggest support system. But it's not so great in other ways because our culture is um not very versed, I would say, or not very used to personal space and boundaries and all of the stuff that is really, really common in Western culture. A lot of that is not common in the Mexican American culture. So, for example, I'll be taking a shower, and if I leave the door unlocked, my mom or my sister will go in and they'll start using the restroom while I'm taking the shower, and it's like the most normal thing in the world, right? Or they'll barge into my room without knocking, maybe take some of my makeup, maybe wear some of my clothes, etc., etc. So it does cause some issues, but I don't know. It's been this way like my entire life. So, um, all of this to say that I live with a lot of people and we're very close. And usually, when one person gets sick, everybody in the household gets sick. So, I think it started with one of my nephews, and then my sister got sick, and then and then my son got sick, and I got sick, and then my dad. So that's usually how it happens. The illness just kind of goes around the house till everybody's sick and everybody's gotten whatever it is, and then they're over it. But the thing is, everybody just chalked it up to it being like a common flu. But since I had to go back to work in school, I had to get tested. I mean, I couldn't just go back if I knew that I was like positive for COVID or anything. So I was the only one who actually got tested. Everybody got sick, and then they went through, like, it wasn't like really bad, but they did get like fevers and like the cough for like a week or a little longer, and then they got better. And I'm the only one who took an at-home COVID test, and it tested positive, which leads me to think that everybody in the house at some point was positive for COVID-19 when they were sick. They just didn't uh, go through the trouble of testing themselves, but everybody got sick. Anyway, all of this to say that my life has been chaotic and hectic, and I stopped taking my medication. Like, I don't know, I want to say it was like 2 or 3 weeks ago, and like it wasn't on purpose. I was just really sick, and I kept forgetting, and I kept falling behind on like assignments and like personal statements and things that I had to do for for school, and trying to keep up with mommy duties, and I just kept forgetting to take my medication. And one day just led to another and led to another. And I think it's been probably close to like 3 weeks now that I haven't taken my Zoloft or my, my, what was the other thing I'm taking? My Ritalin. And some of the side effects are definitely irritability because I've noticed I've been in like not such a good mood lately and like headaches and stuff. They're not very, very severe side effects, but they're a thing. And I mentioned in a previous video that I was afraid of gaining weight if I got back on Zoloft because that's what happened a couple years ago when I was initially on it. And sure enough, it did. Sorry, felt something on my neck. Sure enough, it did happen. Um, I gained like I've gained like 6 or 7 pounds already since I've been on Zoloft. And I don't think it's even been like it hasn't even been like 4 months. Um, I have a really bad sense of time right now. Anyway, so yeah, this is the last semester of my senior year for my bachelor's, so it's gonna be a little bit, I guess, busy because I have a lot of projects and presentations and clinical hours, observations, and also um, stuff that I have to do for my capstone class in order to graduate. And if all goes well, hopefully I will be admitted to a master's program in speech and language pathology, and I'm hoping to hear back from that. Typically, we hear back by around March on whether or not we've been admitted to the program, and the programs are very, very competitive. So it's less than like 20% of the people who apply to these programs get admitted. So fingers crossed for that. As far as my medication, I do want to go back on it, but I just I started to feel like I don't know if the Ritalin together with the Zoloft is the best combination, even though I do have ADHD and anxiety and depression. I really feel like even though the Ritalin did help me focus at least a little better, it also amped up my anxiety, and my muscles maybe were more tense than they normally are because I have cerebral palsy, so my muscles are already very, very tense and stiff and spastic. I have a lot of spasticity uh, in my muscles. And I feel like that kind of adds to my anxiety. And I mentioned this a couple of times already because it's been a big issue about my startle reflex and me getting startled for pretty much anything. And that I know that it comes with the territory of having cerebral palsy. But I'm really trying to find something to um, help me manage that because the last couple of weeks of my last semester, my startle reflex was very, very severe. It was extreme. It was out of control. Like I would see someone from the corner of my eye and I would jump. There was a class where this kid kept sneezing behind me, and every time that he sneezed, I would, jump. I'd startle, and it's really embarrassing to constantly be startling in front of my classmates and to be a distraction to the class and to not be able to think about anything else other than don't startle, don't startle, don't startle, and being startled anyway because it is a habitual and basically it's a reflex. It's an automatic response. So no matter how much I try to prepare for whatever's going to startle me, I end up startling anyway. And I did some research, and a couple of people have mentioned um, that I don't know if it's Zoloft or Ritalin, but that tend to Ritalin I think tends to amp up anxiety, and even though Zoloft is meant to help with depression and anxiety, I have also heard that it tends to tenses up your muscles. Um, and if it's tightening my muscles, maybe that's causing me to startle more frequently than usual. But then again, I'm not an expert. So I tried going to a neurologist, and he was a really, really sweet um, older doctor who has been in practice for many, 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 many decades, but he didn't seem to know much about cerebral palsy. In fact, he didn't even know that the startle reflex was part of that. He just said, "Oh, well, just put a sign on your door and tell people not to come in or barge in unexpectedly." But beyond that, there's not much that I can tell you. Like, there's not much that I can help you with. Now, I'm thinking I probably went to the wrong doctor. I'm thinking I should have asked a neuropsychologist and not a neurologist. So that's what I'm thinking next. I might end up making an appointment to a neuropsych doctor. I'm just gonna keep looking around to see who can help me with this startling issue that is a result of my cerebral palsy. So that is that as far as medication. I do want to keep working on my mental health, but I look exhausted, don't I? Like, I'm looking at myself while I'm recording this, and it's like I'm a hot mess. But I mean, it could have a lot to do with the fact that I'm just recovering from being sick, but also the whole withdrawal process, when you come off medication, especially cold turkey like I did. And I know it's not the best idea, so I don't recommend it. Like I said, I didn't do it on purpose. It just kind of happened over the past couple of weeks. And I missed my last appointment with my psychiatrist, so it's not like I could get refills for that anyway until I meet with her again. But before I do decide to meet with her again, I want to know more about the whole startle reflex and whether I need to find somebody who's well versed in cerebral palsy and this side effect that can tell me whether or not these medications that I'm taking are making this issue worse. um yeah, so don't like quit your medication. Don't go cold turkey like I did. It's not a good idea. um Always do it with the help of your psychiatrist. um And other than that, not much going on. I haven't been getting much sleep. I have been going to sleep pretty late. I also haven't been doing much cleaning or laundry. I'm like in one of my like crazy ADHD slash depressive episodes where everything becomes very cluttered, as you can probably tell from looking at my office behind me. It's very messy. Um, Yeah. So I'm gonna try to come back at least weekly and kind of make more update videos, um, because that was my goal to begin with, and I think I was doing pretty well up until I got sick and stopped taking my meds and all of that chaos. So yeah, I'll be back eventually.